Welcome to the Bennington Select Board meeting of Monday, April 9th. I'm Tom Jacobs and have the pleasure of being the chair of the Select Board at this point in time. We will be actually reorganizing a little later this evening. But anyway, I'd like to have my colleagues introduce themselves. Maybe start with Stu Hurd, our town manager.
Well, thank you, Tom. You just did.
Good evening. I'm Jean Connor.
Good evening, Carson Thurber.
My name is Jim Carroll.
Hi, I'm Donald Campbell.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Jenkins.
Nancy Lively, Secretary.
Great. Thanks for all you do, Nancy. Chad Gordon is going to possibly be joining us, but he had another commitment that made it a real challenge. As we always start our meetings, I would ask that we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Jean, could you lead us in that?
Sure. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Jean.
You're welcome.
We have a consent agenda which has been circulated, and it contains the minutes of the March 19th and March 26th meetings respectively. Also the warrants, which we have also received and I've reviewed, and also a proclamation relative to National Library Week. I think for the purposes of tonight, if I could get a motion on the minutes and the warrants.
So moved.
Is there a second? Other discussion? Any discussion?
Just a spelling error.
Please.
Nancy, Shelley Duboff's name is Shelli. You would have no way of knowing that. And I'm not sure of the spelling of Kozlowski. I don't know if that's correct or not, but we all. So this was town meeting.
Yeah, those have been approved by the moderator. But the town meeting minutes, either the moderator or the board has the opportunity to approve them. These have already been approved by the moderator.
Okay,
so
good. Never mind.
Spelling's intact.
Jean, did you have anything to add?
No.
Or have you taken care of that?
He's taken
Okay.
care
All in favor of the consent agenda as circulated, signify by aye.
Aye.
I will abstain from the minutes of March 26, 2018, as I was absent. But otherwise, they're approved. We have a citizens' comment period. What I would like to do is move and save the citizens' comments and our reorganization discussion till after our three presentations, if that's okay.
You've forgotten the proclamation, Tom?
Okay, thanks. I was going to forget that too if my vice chair didn't.
You know, I don't have a copy of it.
Okay. I think I do.
Here.
Oh, you've got it.
Good. Thank you.
Please.
So, proclamation for the National Library Week 2018. Whereas libraries are not just about what we have for people, but what we do for and with people. Whereas libraries have long served as trusted and treasured institutions, and library workers and librarians fuel efforts to better their communities, campuses, and schools. Whereas libraries are evolving in order to serve their communities and to continue to fulfill their role in leveling the playing field for all who seek information and access to technologies. Whereas libraries and librarians open up a world of possibilities through innovative STEM programming, job-seeking resources, and the power of reading. Whereas libraries and librarians are looking beyond their traditional roles and providing more opportunities for community engagement and deliver new services that connect closely with patrons' needs. Whereas libraries support democracy and affect social change through their commitment to provide equitable access to information for all library users, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or socioeconomic status. Whereas libraries, librarians, library workers, and supporters across America are celebrating National Library Week, now therefore be it resolved that we, the Bennington Select Board, do hereby proclaim National Library Week, April 8th through 14th, 2018. We encourage all residents to visit the library this week and explore what's new at your library and engage with your librarian. Because of you, libraries transform. Dated Bennington, 9th of April, 2018.
Well read. Could I get a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
So moved.
Second, any discussion?
Second.
We got a second, right? Or third?
I didn't hear a second.
Fourth. I think we're all in favor of the proclamation. It is duly adopted and will be part of the record. Thanks very much for that effort. You're getting better and better. Yeah, I thought we did. All in favor?
We did vote on it
By
once, but
acclamation.
yes.
You can tell how the chair is moving through the agenda. But we do have the representatives of the Bennington Tennis Center favoring us with their presence tonight to talk about the youth programs that are available there. Richard Adder is going to step up with various representatives, and we'll have hopefully a nice discussion with the folks, including Richard. It's interesting, a lot of us don't know about the programs, much less the center. We know it's the big bubble that sits out there in the old swimming pool area, right?
Hopefully you will after these next 15, 20 minutes.
Not ready to go to school.
I called up Tom.
Please.
Can I start?
Nope, go right ahead, please. Yep.
I called up Tom because I wanted to introduce this body to what we're doing down at the tennis center. And probably before I do that, I should go back 9 years when Stu and I had discussions to find a place to put a tennis facility in Bennington. Originally, the tennis facility was in Manchester, and we thought it'd be a good idea to bring it down to Bennington. So we had a lot of different sites, and eventually we wound up with the site we're on, which was a park that was unused. And I actually, was the last time I sat before this body, and it was unanimously approved. And what we've done recently is that I discovered that we have a lot of underserved children in this community. And just by way of background, I have had a house in Bennington for about 23 years. I'm on the board of the University of Vermont, I'm on the board of the hospital, I'm on the board of Bennington College, and I'm on the board of the United States Tennis Association Foundation. The foundation has a sector which is called the NJTL, National Junior Tennis and Learning. And that is not to produce elite tennis players, it's to provide underserved communities with tennis and learning. And the learning is as important as the tennis. So we decided, the group here is about a year ago, to form a 501c3 to be part of that program. Just to give you a sense of the size of it, there's 350 chapters, there's 4,500 locations, and there's 225,000 children that they serve. Most of the cities, there's a big chapter in Boston, there's a big chapter in Burlington, there's a big chapter in Albany. Most of the places are much bigger than us, but they were very enthusiastic about coming to Bennington. In fact, this weekend we had the New England head here looking at what we're doing. 6 months ago, we had the heads of the USTA Foundation here, and they're very enthusiastic. Let me introduce, if you don't know the people around me. David Reese is the Senior Vice President at Bennington College. Sandy Foster is the principal of Woodford School, and she's our new executive director as well. Okay. Seth is a part owner with me, and he's the tennis director. And Deborah Larkin on my right was formerly the executive director of the USTA Foundation, and then subsequent she was the executive director of the Women's Sports Foundation. And she's going to give a few thoughts as to her experience with the USTA Foundation.
Good evening, Deborah. Good to see you.
It's great to see you. Thank you for having us here. Well, tennis and learning is in my DNA, so I was very lucky to be the executive director of the USTA Foundation. It has great benefits for the chapters, and that's really what I wanted to very briefly talk about. As a national organization with 350 chapters, you have access to the leaders of those chapters. Number one, there are national and regional meetings that go on and that teach you all sorts of things from capacity development and how you handle the kids and what kind of programs that you can participate with. They're very innovative and have new programs all the time. For example, one is about police coming to the chapters to develop rapport and friendship and trust in the communities. They also have national curriculum that help with the learning and education. Education, nutrition, social skill building is very important to the tennis, and very important is they provide funding for chapters, and this is done through the national organization as well as the regional USTA chapters, and our program has already been the beneficiary of those grants.
Can we get to you?
Sure. I can talk loud. I use my principal voice now.
You sure can. We got our hearing, we got a hearing.
It was a great opportunity to join this group of people to lend my expertise in education. Although they do have a fabulous curriculum, it's nice to add that flavor from Bennington. And we have had students from the BSD, Molly Stark Monument, and Bennell come to the program, as well as Woodford. And we've reached out to Pownell and Shaftesbury as well. This ability to bring these students to this beautiful building, to allow them to be given the equipment, the rackets, the sneakers, and the formal training is just a wonderful opportunity. And it is our hope that when they reach their college level, that they can apply for scholarships, which are also available through this grant.
Just everything happens for free. Tennis the rackets are free, sneakers are free, and court time is free, and instruction is free.
Most important, instruction.
Yes, and that leads right into me. I'm the lucky one that gets to work with all our kids. We have a staff in place to provide the instruction as well as mentorship and the educational support that they desperately need. We've had great success so far. Our program has started as an after-school program, and it's developing into a weekend enrichment program. And this summer, we have really big plans to offer a really comprehensive summer camp. The kids that have partaken so far have really, from what their parents have said and the teachers have said, have really been very positive. You know, they feel like they really go back to school, they have some focus. There's been a lot of studies that show that kids that play tennis have fewer delinquencies, they matriculate towards college, and they actually score higher on a lot of testing. So we really feel that this program will hopefully help the entire community as well as what we have started.
Great.
Big part of this is our partnership with the college, so I'd like to pass that on to David.
Why don't you talk about the things outside of...
Sure, yeah. When we first put the bubble up, I know we were kind of an amenity. A few things I'd like to bring to your attention of some of the things that happen in there outside of the junior program. Williams College is one of our biggest supporters. We've hosted many NESCAC tennis matches. They use our facility as a home winter training site. We've also developed relationships with MCLA. We actually had 2 collegiate matches this weekend. Teams come into the town, spend the night at the hotel, they got to eat, playing tennis. We've offered the courts for the Burton tennis team. We've hosted many state playoffs and state championships at our facility. So
How about the girls' thing?
the girls' team, the next thing I was getting to, is as the success that you can see immediately is the MAU girls' team in the last couple of years is advanced all the way to the state semifinals. I could go on record to say that the boys' team has a very, very strong program this year and will be right in the mix as far as playoffs contention in the future. So there's a lot of great things happening that people aren't even aware of, and we really love to bring it to their attention.
That's great, thanks.
I don't think I'm going to reach over there, but I'll speak loudly.
You speak well.
Yeah, you can hear me. So I'm here in two roles. One is I'm on the board, and I'm on the board, one, for my own passionate commitment to this organization and what we're about, and also as a representative of Bennington College. The college, we see this, I'll speak from the college's perspective, we see this as an extension of the work that Bennington College is doing in terms of supporting the town, supporting the needs of the community. We see this as a really interesting and vital program that's reaching to kids who would not have this opportunity. Both the tennis, which is, as Richard pointed out, is only really part of the deal. The other part is mentorship, character building, rule learning, they have to say whether a ball's in or out. That doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is a big deal, actually. And it's something you learn about the truth and sportsmanship. So anyway, we're really committed to the program. We're providing the college's tennis courts in the summer and in the good weather. On the weekends, the kids come and eat in our dining halls. They interact with college students. For many, they talk about what it's like to go to college with Bennington college students. So we're all in on this program. We think it's really an interesting model. And as Richard said, and Deborah said, we're part of a national network here. I was down with Seth in Florida at one of the capacity building conferences, and there's a really wide range of people who are doing these kinds of programs, both in big urban settings, but also in rural settings. So I think this is a really exciting moment for another addition to the Bennington community in terms of building our own town and our own capacity.
We talk a lot about investing in our community ourselves, and this has a lot to do with it. It's just a real another star that we can put on the board, because if we don't invest in our own community, like you've already done, then no matter how many buildings we build and how many other amenities we add, you need this type of environment for the young folks in this community. That's always been a clarion call from a lot of folks saying that we don't have enough activity for our children, and therefore we're losing a lot in the mix. Whether or not that actually plays out, this is an example of why we've got a response to that situation. And when you get your investments as well as the USDA, I mean, you can't think of a much better partnership that is brought to our doorstep. A couple of questions that I'll turn over to my colleagues. How many participants do you have in the program now?
We counted the hours because what we're hoping to do is to keep students active as well as have them working on academic piece. And I believe it was for the winter of 278 hours where they weren't at home, but they were actively involved in this program.
Now, is that the total number of hours for all of the students that you...
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And how many students are there?
We've run 3 sessions. It's about 75 kids per session. We keep doing after-school sign-ups. We're working very actively with the schools and their after-school programs, kind of the one way that we've been drawing the kids to us.
And our children...
We work with 3 schools right now.
Okay.
4.
When you introduce this program to the kids, it's all are welcome, and is there a way that you select them? It's based on how kids self-select that they want to participate?
The kids have been, they sign up for the after-school program, and then we try to convince them to come to the weekend program. That's on their own accord, and the numbers have been building.
And it's by age.
And it's by age. Right now, we're focusing 3rd through 5th grade.
Because I would imagine
it is our goal to track them and continue.
The racket may be bigger than some of the kids.
Well, actually, they're small rackets. They're balls.
The USDA started a program called 10 and Under, in which the courts are smaller. They use different kind of balls so that it is size appropriate.
Very easy to learn.
Once they get, and very easy to learn and then progress. So
Well,
it's not like the old days.
Instead of going over there.
I want to congratulate you for doing this and thank you for doing this. It's something that I was not aware of, and I think we all know, and at least in my own personal experience, sports can be a transformative part of a child's life. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Donald, or Jean, either.
Yeah,
Jeannie.
so I'm assuming it's BSD schools in Woodford, is that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And so right now it's an after-school program, and kids do like a week session or a day session, or?
They can participate on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays right now. And in the summer, we hope to do a 5-day program, Monday through Friday. In the month of July, the Abbey Group has already committed to bringing both breakfast and lunch to the program. as well as helping us with a nutritional program.
That's fantastic.
We've been running, like I said, we do 3 sessions, and the sessions are for 8 weeks each.
Okay.
And everybody is welcome.
Everybody's welcome.
So how does a parent find out about this?
Well, I announced it at a principals meeting to start, because it's easiest, and many principals have people that are coordinating their after-school program, which they have rolled to their after-school coordinator for the building.
Right. And will the summer camp will the summer camp be open enrollment, and will that also be free, or will that be?
Oh, it will be free, and with the, so generous of Bennington College to allow us to even to use the facilities.
We're going to be at the college during the summer camp program.
Very generous.
It's amazing.
Not just on the courts, but in classrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're thinking about maybe working with the kids who do, the Bennington College kids who do the farm, thinking there's many different kinds of activities that we can to make it really fun and interesting.
Talking to folks at the hospital to also do some programs with us as well.
The night we saw you at dinner, I was telling Tom about it.
It's great. I mean, I'm sure he's enthused. I just don't want to be on the other side of the net from Tom.
Yeah, you want to be on the same side.
Yeah.
I'd like to join Jim in thanking you for coming. I didn't know what happened under the bubble, and it's really wonderful to hear all the good things that are happening. And David, it's so great to hear of yet another powerful Bennington College partnership where you guys are making a very conscious effort to reach into our town and look for some synergies. So thanks to the college for that.
Thank you.
But I also wonder what are the limits to your success? So where are you going to run? What are you going to run out of first? Money, people, space, students?
Well, fortunately, we got 2 grants last year from the national, which were fairly substantial grants for us. We could always use more money, but I think the challenge for us really is people. We look for volunteers to help us with the kids, both the learning piece and even the tennis piece. These kids are not really tennis players. They're there to exercise and so forth. So the people are important. The
So
more kids we
adult
get,
volunteers to volunteer with the program is what you could really use to help expand?
If there's a financial need, we've been able to pay, some dollars on an hourly basis and stuff. So we have a nurse who helps us out.
And we hold fundraisers as well. But just as you two said that you hadn't heard of us, just magnify that by a lot of the community. So I think what we also...
That's why we're here, really.
That's why we're here, to let you know, but also to have the ripple effect, so that if you see opportunities where we can be, we were talking about, taking over one of the streets in Bennington with some of our nets, like they can do it in Manhattan, maybe we can do it on Main Street, but more if there are opportunities for us to get in front of people, to let them know about the program and like that.
We're really a startup. This is it. This is basically the program. So it's very powerful group of people, but it's still small. So that's the capacity piece is what we need, and want the town to know about what's going on.
Is there a Facebook page that you have or a website that we can
Both,
cite?
yes.
And if you do have a website, please tell us what it is here tonight, and people will know about it.
www.benningtonaces.com.
Aces?
Aces.
Bennington
Okay.
Aces.
And what about Facebook?
It's NJTL of Bennington VT. You could link also through the Bennington Tennis Center.
MJT is National Junior Tennis and Learning.
Okay, good. I'll make sure that I promote it on my
But the
Facebook page.
ACES is the educational program of the MJTL. That's where, and also ACES is a serve as well, but it's...
I want to make sure that I got it right. NJTL
Of Bennington, Vermont.
of Bennington. Okay.
Thanks, Jim. Carson?
Thank you all for being here and doing this. I had the good fortune of knowing a little bit about this in advance, but to hear it kind of, is this your coming out party to the community? I mean, it's just... It's really great, and I guess I've never directly asked the Bennington Banner to have something above the fold in the next few days, but for the community to learn about the good work you guys are doing for the children within our community, the coming together of a lot of different entities, including the college, the health system in some capacity with different board members, and it's really wonderful. So that's my little pitch to the banner. But also, where can we help? I mean, this is one audience. Donald mentioned volunteers. We have a community that's probably willing to do some of the lifting that you might struggle with different people. So if Facebook is a place to reach out for volunteers, or however we can be of service, just please ask or let us know. We all have unique networks, and I think everyone wants to see the ship of the greater Bennington area rise, and this is one other, another oar that's pulling in the right direction, so thank you.
Well, one of the things we're going to want to do from here is we did 3rd through 5th grade. We definitely want to take these kids all the way up to college. And there's tremendous benefits that are offered by the foundation, the USTA Foundation, to kids. They have great scholarship programs, and it's unbelievable how many scholarships go unused. But you can only get these scholarships through the NJTL, which is what we became members. So those are all good things too, and if we wind up with some good tennis players, that's a good thing too.
Or good
Shucks.
ball girls and ball guys, right? I mean, they learn how to, the ethics
Well,
of...
playing, when we were up in Manchester, the Burton girls, same thing happened, because nobody has indoor tennis. And the ability to play 12 months, tennis is a game of repetition.
Right.
And the more you hit the ball, the better you get. I mean, it's pretty simple.
What do you know about pickleball?
Let's not get into that. That's another agenda. Gene.
Had to ask.
Yeah.
I have like 100 questions, but I'll try to be brief. I just want to make sure the volunteers you're looking for, they don't all have to play tennis.
No,
Absolutely
Okay,
not.
I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that. You don't have to be a tennis player to volunteer. The location of the bubble could not be better. I mean, it's in the absolute most perfect location to serve this population you're serving, so kudos for picking.
Stu found it.
Huh?
Stu gave it to us.
There you go.
Thank you.
It was really our connection initially with the Molly Stark principal and
Yeah.
their school that really
Perfect.
got us going, got the after-school program going, so yes.
Absolutely perfect. When kids have completed one session, can they do another session? Okay,
Absolutely.
that was just a little housekeeping. Do you have a waiting list, or as every child who wants to participate can
Nobody's been
participate right
turned
now?
away yet.
Wow, that's fantastic. And tennis is one of those sports that doesn't require hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of equipment. That's why I walk in snowshoe. You don't need a lot. You just, tennis racket, balls, and a decent pair of shoes. So it's a really great sport to target this population, because it doesn't, not like hockey equipment, costs so much money. Let's see. There's tennis courts behind Molly Stark. Are those in incredible disrepair, and are they not usable at this point?
We've been discussing potentially rehabbing those in some capacity.
Yeah.
They're somewhat usable. Nowadays, we have pop-up nets and lines you can draw out on the court, so once the weather actually does change, and I hope it does, we're going to actually try to go over there and interact
look.
on those courts a little bit more, just to
Yeah.
get more kids involved.
Yeah.
But those are they're in a prime spot. I mean, I would love to know the number of kids that can walk there.
Yeah.
And all our kids that come through our program do receive a backpack, a racket, and shoes, and some tennis balls, so.
They can go and hit
All
around.
free, so it should hopefully come together.
And by the way, the USTA Foundation just announced a new program that they're going to be refurbishing courts, some courts around the country. Don't know that Bennington is going to be there,
But someday.
But
Maybe next-
it's
yeah.
sponsored with Chase.
We can offer them a setting.
With the college's courts and those courts, and also the rec center, there's real potential down the road if this thing
Yeah.
really grows. We have facilities. That's the interesting part of this program.
A
A
lot
lot
of-
of places don't have
A
facilities.
lot of the programs in the NJTL use gyms.
Go to schools, yeah.
I mean, when they come here and they see the facility, I don't know if you've been in the facility, but the facility is
Yeah.
fairly impressive.
And I'm assuming you're planting the seed that could be a college scholarship in these children's future when they're 9, 10, 11 years old. I'm done.
Thank you. No, it's great. Jeannie, I know you know some symbiotic scenarios that might bring these folks together.
Yes, I do. I was going to go catch those two afterwards.
Yeah, you might go offline. Yeah. Because,
Yeah, that's exciting. This is
yeah.
very exciting.
It
I
is.
think it has transformational possibilities here. Yeah.
frankly, this is why we feel good sitting here. Sometimes we have some difficult discussions and, not arguments, but difficult discussions. This is one where it's such a positive for our community, and that with your leadership, we will engage as much as we can, and look forward to doing what we can, and feel free through our town manager to let us know if you need other resources. Not that we are, have great financial resources. Sounds like we might go to the USDA and get some assistance for the town. But we appreciate you coming this evening and sharing your time and your efforts, because it really is investing in our community. And we live here, and so we've got the benefit of your leadership. And thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tennis nets on Main Street, huh?
I think that'd be good for a Friday night sometime.
Yeah.
Right.
Second Friday.
Does it fit in with the Art Council? Would you like to step up? We're going to have a discussion or conversation with the, I think we've got it right, Bennington Area Arts Council.
That's correct.
Right, yeah.
Thank you. I'm Greg Van Houten. I am the Vice President
Good
of
evening.
the Bennington Area Arts Council currently. We are recently reorganized with new officers and some new board members. So on their behalf, I'll quickly update you. I'm going to try and keep this brief. Many of you are familiar with the history, but some people may not be. 2012, the Bennington Select Board hosted the community meetings with the Vermont Council on Rural Development, and the arts and cultural topic was a very well-attended and brisk topic. The Better Bennington Corporation's Arts Committee convened with some members of the economic sector, and we formed what was called the Cultural Bennington Planning Committee, which would have been what it was called last time I was in front of you about this, or when I was on the board. Since the origin of the Cultural Bennington Planning Committee in 2012, there has been steady growth within Bennington's creative economy. Collaborations between organizations, expanded sponsorships, event partnering, and an increase in overall public involvement in the arts has resulted in what is now a high watermark in Bennington's arts and cultural scene. This has continued through the transformation to what is now the Bennington Area Arts Council, and will continue further. The Bennington Area Arts Council was awarded a 501c3 nonprofit status by the IRS last year, which allows us to accept tax-deductible contributions, apply for grants, and operate as a member-based not-for-profit organization. As a result, we are able to and have been handling the Summer Sonatina Scholarship Program, which offers these world-class piano camps to local students at no cost. We have partnered with several organizations and events to assist in fiscal management and promotions, such as the Sonicals, the Bennington Mural Project, and others. We have launched our website with its arts calendar, support for our members, and an online membership application. Our Facebook page is now a public forum for announcements and business postings, along with weekly event emails. We have hosted regular network meetings for the creative community in addition to our monthly business hours meetings. We unveiled a new logo last year, which was the result of a design project with our high school design students under the direction of Barbara Ackerman. We've established a rotation of arts economy columns in the Bennington Banner and Manchester Journal. We continue to organize the Bennington Arts Weekend in August and are planning a third Exposure in Bennington for April 25th to showcase the upcoming cultural season highlights. We have hosted and supported several pop-up galleries, including the Old Castle Theater lobby space in Winterfest. Lightning Jar recently added to that. In October, we will bring the Starline Rhythm Boys back to Main Street for their 20th anniversary tour. We saw the National Center for Arts Research name Bennington County in the top 3 most vibrant arts communities of our size in the country. That's in 50,000 population and under. We also saw our original founding goal of creating a regional cultural plan begin its life with the planning grant facilitated by the BCRC, an organization we've collaborated with since day one. Imagine if that plan were written now and available to Southern Vermont College as they lay out the future of the Laumeister Arts Center. Not only was it a busy year, The events I described require an even greater commitment going forward to see these developments take shape. So as we celebrate our past, we look forward to grow our membership so we can continue this trajectory in supporting our cultural economy. The Bennington region has a unique and storied legacy of art, craft, and history. We are fortunate that we are not trying to create an arts economy like so many places across the country. The assets are here. We are asking that you continue to help us protect and support what is such a grand contributor to our overall economic and intellectual well-being. Tonight I have 3 requests. The first is to renew the Bennington Select Board's designation of the Bennington Area Arts Council as the official arts council of the town of Bennington. The original designation, while technically still valid, was signed in 1989. The realigned missions of both the Arts Council and the town of Bennington would suggest that an update is in order. Second, we invite you to renew your sponsorship of Exposure Bennington, happening on Wednesday, April 25th. This showcase of the region's arts and cultural schedules is our signature event. Your previous support as a $1,000 signature sponsor has been a boost both financially and politically to the event's successes. We also encourage you to attend. It takes place in the Green Mountain Ballroom at Mount Anthony Country Club from noon to 3 p.m. and is free to the public thanks to sponsorships like this. Third, we are looking forward to finding a sustainable path for the Bennington Area Arts Council. We have always known that if we were successful, we would soon need a paid staff member to manage daily tasks and serve as a contact point. If our 2018 work plan comes to fruition, we feel we will be at that point within the year. The Southern Vermont Economic Development Zone report that was commissioned by the Vermont legislature specifically commented on the need for Bennington to have a publicly funded arts council. We would like to begin the discussion of finding funding solutions to make that possible. What we are proposing is to contract with the Bennington County Regional Commission for staff time of one of its employees to act as a director of the Arts Council, similar to the way the town of Bennington does for the Economic Development Post and the Bennington County Industrial Corp does for its director. This would avail us of professional staff, space, and facilities without the costs and time demands of becoming an employer and maintaining a physical presence. We want to introduce this idea so that there is time to pursue solutions well before the final decision is necessary. Of these 3 requests, the sponsorship request is the only urgent one, as the event is soon upon us, and we would like to include the town of Bennington in promotional materials going out this week.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
I think, why don't we take a couple of these requests to discussion, if we could. The first, it probably is timely to renew the Bennington Board's designation of the Bennington Area Arts Council as the official arts council for the town of Bennington. Could I at least get a motion for that?
Would you like to do these as pieces?
Yes.
So I'd make a motion that we make that designation.
Okay. Second.
Discussion on that. It's probably overdue. Let's vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
6 in favor and no opposition.
Thank you.
The second one, which Greg has indicated, this would be our third or fourth?
This is the third one.
Yeah, this would be our third contribution at that level, which has been the $1,000.
$1,000 sponsor, right, which includes you in all the promotional things and makes you a lead sponsor.
Yeah.
And as I said, the support of the Bennington Select Board in the past has helped us garner more support outside that because people take it seriously.
Yeah. Could I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Discussion on that,
Yes.
please. Yes.
Does it come out of Zerwatt's budget?
Where does the money come from?
In this particular case, the money would come out of the contingency, which is at the,
Okay.
we wouldn't hit zero
Okay.
this time around.
Okay, thank you.
What have we done in the years past? Has it been out of the economic development budget?
Well, in years past, we've used the select board contingency,
Okay.
Which you have already designated for use, not entirely, but I don't think you have $1,000 left. And then there is a $10,000 contingency at the end of the budget in the general fund that has not yet been touched.
That doesn't mean other people come and ask for the other 9,000.
That's a very good point.
No,
Can I
I'm
change
just
your
wondering why
request?
the 500 had to come out of Zerwatt's budget then for the sophomore summit. Yeah, okay. But is this something that we should also encourage?
At budget time, I think we
It's
should
in
be
the same
really.
category for me.
Yeah, it felt like it.
Something that we've supported year after year that we really believe is good for the community, that we seem to get a lot of bang for the buck on. It feels to me like you were probably anticipating this request.
Actually, no, I was not anticipating this, but, you know, I could say yes and get away with it, but no.
Yeah, well,
But it should be. I mean, if this is going to be a constant, then I think we should be finding a place in the budget for it so that we anticipate it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, that was it.
And whether or not we put this in as far as the discussion under the third item at a later date?
Yeah, I
You know,
wanted to throw that out there
yeah.
so we can talk
Yeah.
about this in a partnership fashion to see what the options are. I've already mentioned this to Bill Botsow. I've talked to Zon Estes, who used to be at in the Vermont Arts Council, you know, and we're trying to craft what a practical path forward is. So I'm looking for feedback from you over time.
Yeah, why don't we, if there's no further discussion, all in favor of that $1,000 sponsorship?
Aye.
Aye.
That's six in favor, no one opposed to that. As to the third, I think you've covered it to the extent that we can. I know we have it part as budget time. We've looked at the regional investment in regional investment, and we actually have a line item now, or pretty much close to that, isn't it, Stu? Relative to a reserve fund for economic development in the region.
We haven't used that reserve, nor have we used the Economic Development Fund this year. So that, I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head what's in there, but it's
But I
there.
think if we're going to have this discussion, that should all blend into it, because it's the arts component is a part of that.
I have a question for you, Greg.
Yeah, I have a couple too.
Tom and Carson and I met this morning, and you know, we all three wondered, you know, about what, if any, relationship you've established with SVC and its new arts center.
I'm glad you asked.
Well,
Southern Vermont College has been working with us since the very beginning. They've attended meetings. I've been actually toured through the building twice already, once with Eric Despard, and once with President Evans and Nina Moser, and as have other members of the board. They have reached out to us for help in defining paths, and that's why I specifically mentioned that. You know, we've been working at trying to find funding for a cultural town plan for 6 years, and, you know, boy, wouldn't it be great if we had that on paper right now while they were trying to work out the future of that, which is, to me, one of the most exciting stories in the arts economy right now. It's a wonderful facility. The Lowmeisters ran that for years, and, you know, now to turn that over to Southern Vermont College, the educational promises there and the cultural access to the community is just outstanding. So,
well, I think it's, you know, just thinking out loud, when I spoke with Tom and Carson this morning, I think the place is ripe for any number of venues, concerts, speakers.
Absolutely.
And it could be a real income generator for the Arts Center and just attracting more people to town.
Well, think of the educational possibilities too. I mean, it's every meeting you go to, people ask, how do we get youth to come to Bennington? How do we get people to stay in Bennington? And, you know, they're adding already administrative classes as a result of that property. You've got the potential to partner with their criminal justice department for museum security. You know, I mean, if you start thinking about it, it just goes on and on, what could happen, what they already have and what they now have, so.
Go ahead.
Greg, I was very taken by the phrase that you said in here, you know, that the assets are here. You know, and I feel like when you look around to other communities, about every other community wants to become an art center and wants to become a place of arts, and we already are.
Correct.
It feels like it's ours to lose at this point. So we could lose a lot of ground while other communities are really making investments in this kind of part of the economy. So I wonder if you either know or would be willing to come back to us and talk about what other communities are doing, what kind of investments they're making, and what kind of successes they're coming up with from funding this kind of an
Yeah, and that's part of where that proposal comes from. A lot of what I see is, like in Vermont, the only other city with a paid staff for an arts council is Burlington. Many towns have either a volunteer staff like we are now, or they work with other organizations, state organizations. As you know, you probably know from that study, Berkshire County was named #1 in their population class of 100,000. So we're in one of the most vibrant arts corridors in the country right here. And the state support that Massachusetts can afford is different than what the state support of Vermont. But I think we'd be reluctant not to pursue that as an economic driver. To come up with a relatively low-cost way to have an executive director to make this a long-term, a solution was our goal. And that's the one solution we came up with. There may be others that we're not thinking of, so that's why we want to partner in that. But,
Greg, do you mean to say that there's some sort of funding that has allowed for an arts director?
No, that's what we're trying to find. I mean, that's what we're looking for, is where do we come up with that money? Is there a town-state combination? Would we strictly have to do it through taxpayer money? Is there, what we want to stay away from is short-term grants, short-term solutions that run out and cause the demise of an organization. So, I mean, from what Mr. Campbell said, this is an opportunity to work with something that already exists. How do we do that without letting it fizzle out?
Okay.
And,
I just want to mention, you were great in saying that this is one suggestion you're mentioning as far as how to fund this position. The fact you're open to a lot of different ideas. I mean, just as we sit here brainstorming, I mean, you're on the inside. You meet with a lot of people who are very well-heeled about talking about the arts, but the idea of utilizing that partnership with Southern Vermont College a little bit and finding, maybe there is a co-director hat that could exist there with the new Arts Center over there, and they might be able to generate revenue that could come out of there. I mean, we could sit here and come up with a lot of different ideas, and it's nice you're coming so far in advance, because it gives us a chance to kind of talk through the different options.
Yeah, I don't think it's premature, but I don't think it's probably can be much substance to the discussion without really turning that spade more times than once.
Right, and I think the performance of the Arts Council this year and how far we get on our work plan and the initiatives at stake are going to play a big part in that too. Where we're at in 6 months is going to be significant in that conversation too. We're seeing a lot of things change over. We see the Robert Frost House is now in possession of Bennington College. It's another player. We've got a lot of collaborations going on. You've seen what's gone on downtown with Old Castle Theater and the Vermont Arts Exchange and other private, commercial places in the last 5 years.
That's really appealing, Greg, because, the collaborations with bodies and money, when you pull all of these assets together and manage them, it would be good if it's under basically one roof. It makes it that much easier to get an accountability component into the process.
Right, we're trying to reduce the moving targets,
if
at all possible.
How many members does the Art Council have now?
We just started our membership drive this year with the 501c3. We have, I would say, what we considered members before it became a paid membership. We had probably 45 organizations and individuals that were active regularly. Paid members, I think we're in the 15 area right now. Explosion generally has about 25 exhibitors of organizations that have schedules to play out, and they range from Williamstown to Weston, Dorset, throughout the region. Concentration is in Bennington because of the location, but really reach out to anybody who wants to come and show what they have.
I was impressed by the synergy of the group of those exhibitors, and there's a lot of discussion buy-in amongst themselves, which would...
Yeah, the event serves as a trade show networking event, a press party, and a public exhibit, and that networking thing always is impressive, what they come up with to collaborate.
Gene?
I'm sorry, Jen, go ahead. You're at the point.
I just want to thank you. I don't know if anyone's ever really thanked you for you're quiet, you're steady, you're passionate, you're patient, and I don't know if anybody realizes the amount of time that you have put in over probably the last 10 years, I'm going to say.
It's just good that I don't have to answer to anybody at the office.
So, I think we take for granted all this wonderful stuff just doesn't happen. Someone has to grasp it and make it happen, and I think a lot of that credit goes to you, and I just wanted to personally thank you. You could have taken your business anywhere and gone anywhere, and you stayed here in Bennington.
Well, thank you, and I mean, there's a good 40+% of my business serves the cultural economy, so it's not like it's not in my personal interest to see our cultural sector perform at its top level. But we also, our board is made up of a combination of people who represent nonprofit organizations, arts organizations, and commercial for-profit organizations, which like Bennington Potters and you know, and my own company. So it's not just me. There are a lot of people that are doing the same thing. And,
But you're the one sitting there.
I'm the one sitting here.
Yeah, what Gene said.
What's that?
What Gene said.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
So you keep referring to the region being very rich also. Can you talk a little bit about where sort of, I don't know, working with Berkshire County or, you know, I've heard that there, you know, like the museum, the Bennington Museum is now part of sort of a collaborative with other museums. What kinds of opportunities are there, and how will, I guess, having a more formal organization with an executive director assist in
having executive director with a phone number, and it's one of the reasons we envision this model, is that if you were to call a phone number associated with the Arts Council, you would get somebody, and they have office staff. Even if that person were not available, you could talk to somebody, leave a message, they'd get back to you, they'd have the internet connections and office equipment needed to have a professional communication level with someone that we don't have now. We kind of bounce around between us. You have to find one of us, track us down, and their emails kind of zoom around, and it's working, but we're going to hit a limit, just like any organization would. I experienced it with my own company. It came a point where I had to change the structure of communication just because I didn't seem like a credible vendor anymore, and I had to, you know, back it up. With this, you know, we're trying to rotate the board members and the officers regularly, so being on the board is not a life sentence. You can get off and do things, because a lot of the people are artists. They want to continue in their arts, but they're willing to give a year or 2 or 3 to the board. But we don't want to ask them to do it for 8, 9, 10 years, like a lot of the committees that I've been part of before. So we kind of modeled it with some of that experience in mind. We get fresh ideas that way and whatnot, and different skills.
Do you think is there sort of, I hate the term low-hanging fruit, but, you know, are there obvious things to do regionally that would promote the arts in Bennington that you'd like to do that require more bandwidth than you have?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the time I've put into just the Explosion event in the last few weeks would get me fired from a lot of jobs. But it's, you know, to have somebody that could devote a certain amount of, you know, hours per week and do that properly would certainly help. Our outreach to the education is a major goal. I've got an email I've got to send that I've been trying to get to for days, you know, to the art teachers in the Mount Anthony Union District to invite them to Explosion and see what they can do. We moved it. We used to do it during the school break. We moved it to within the school year because they said that if it were in the school year, they might be able to participate since they're usually gone. And those are things those collaborations are timeless. You know, those are the type of things that build a future. And you know, the Arts Council is not on a mission to try and get Connecticut plates into Bennington. We're trying to create a life of art for everyone who wants it. This is a town where, you know, the least suspecting people have a relationship to the arts. You know, you'll find people that you won't even believe when you find out they're a piano player, or that they used to sing in a band or something. You know, they were a pedal steel player when they were in college. Or, you know, and these are real stories I run across with people, and you wouldn't even suspect it. Craft. You know, I work at the Clark Art Institute on a regular basis. Their library has a section on pottery from Bennington, Vermont. You know, this is a recognized place for pottery and craft. Jim?
Just a thought, I was just thinking about, have you invited any of the folks from Mass MoCA to come to the Explosion?
Yeah, we invite them. They don't always come, but they're busy, you know, and one of the reasons we do it now, there's a lot of conferences going on too. There's one in Williamstown that day, unfortunately, but that's not uncommon this time of year. The arts industry is about to explode. A month from now, month and a half from now, everybody will be trying to open their summer exhibits. And my company will be completely out of control because everything opens from Memorial Day to the 4th of July. And that month is just, just very, very busy. So people are getting ready for that in the industry. So we're trying to find that fine line when they can still get out and be with us before they get completely involved with their internal.
That's great. That's great, great.
Just got one more question.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it's going to come out, but Mass MoCA puts out what their exhibition schedule is pretty far in advance, and could we borrow some of those exhibits?
Some of those exhibits?
Invite them to come to the Arts Center?
I think that's for another day.
Yeah, that's,
well, I think it's interesting, but let's.
I can't answer that because I don't know. I'm a member there. I do work for them, but I don't know those things. But I have put the Art Center in touch with some of my other museum customers to help them collaborate with the collections that are coming up. So that specific scenario might not work, but Mass MoCA is only one of many museums out there, and many of them are very willing to help each other in their successions. There's a show coming to the Lowmeister Arts Center soon, and I don't want to blow the lid off it yet because we want to do that at Explosion, but I think you'll be very impressed with what they've got coming up, and it didn't just happen. Some people work pretty hard at it.
Great.
The last point I just wanted to make is the arts is also a career where you don't need to have a college education to be an artist. Many people are judged by their talent and their skill. You can study art outside of a traditional expensive education. So, to use a popular target, Bruno Mars grew up homeless. Now he's probably one of the richest kids in the country. There are a lot of avenues in the arts. You can take education as far as you want, or you can do it. You can educate yourself and move forward. So that's another one of our big goals, is to get, to involve the community and the youth and give them whatever opportunities they're looking for.
Is Explosion full? Are you still?
No, we still have some room.
Okay.
Good. Stu, I know you want.
One last question.
Yeah.
Now that you are on your membership drive, how does one become a member of the Bennington?
We have a website, BenningtonAreaArtsCouncil.org, and there is a membership page with a live form on it that you can fill out right there. There is also a page for Explosion over to the right, down. If you were an exhibitor, want to be an exhibitor, you can sign up for there. We have a panel discussion before Explosion this year called Advertising in a Multimedia World. Exhibitors and sponsors and members are invited to come to that, and that will be discussing the various forms of advertising with, we've got the publisher of Art New England from Boston coming, we've got the advertising department of WAMC in Albany, and we have representatives from New England newspapers on the panel to talk about.
And what's the membership fee?
There are several membership levels. There's a level for everyone.
Okay.
And we'll create one for you, right?
Yeah, we'll create one for exactly.
It's interesting, your discussion, your presentation tonight, conversation, while it's totally dissimilar to the tennis centers, there's this thread of commonality that runs through the discussion tonight about economics, education, and benefit to the town, which in hearing you tonight, it sort of like confirms that. Are there any other questions?
And volunteerism, too.
Yeah,
big way.
there you go.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Greg. And,
Thank you very much. I appreciate
really,
it.
and
On
hope to
behalf
talk
of the
again.
Arts Council, thank you.
Thanks for everything you do.
Thank you.
I think, Sir Watt, could we do the closeout? No, I'm going to get these, then do the sixes. Good evening.
Good evening. As you can see, this is not Stephanie Lane here with me, but she does send a note of apology. Stephanie had to be at a training event in Burlington today, so she was not able to join us, but she has sent Jeff Goldstone, who was the architect on the project that we're about to discuss. So this is the final public hearing for the Bennington Historic Rehab project, which was another one of the community development block grants that the town received from the Vermont Council. VCDP. I'm just going to use the acronym because my mind is not straight this evening.
Quite all right. Let's just add to the mix.
So I'm
We
going
did
to
have
pass.
it, we did have it in our packet, so. we're
Okay, thank
pretty
you. So
familiar.
usually I remember all the acronyms, just not tonight.
We can quiz you.
But this is the wrap-up session.
Yes.
for lack of a better-
So Jeff will give you a
Jeff would
quick
just,
overview.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome, thank you. I'm going to briefly read a statement that Stephanie wrote, and then I will be happy to answer any questions you have about the project. She's the one who's most informed on the financial side of it, but anything that has to do with the buildings and what we did to the buildings, I'm happy to discuss. Thank you to the Bennington Select Board for allowing us to present the final closeout for the Bennington Historic Rehabilitation Housing Project. First, let me offer Stephanie's apologies for not being available to attend in person. It is important to her that this project was a great success for the organization, as it was her first Bennington project, and it is also ultimately a wonderful home for the 26 families who returned to renovated, safer, healthier homes. We're pleased to say that we met all of the goals of the project. We were able to rehab and provide energy improvement to the 26 historic units and to improve the quality of life, the level of comfort, and energy performance. We were also able to improve the curb appeal, hopefully acting as a catalyst for continued investment and enhancing the pride in the neighborhoods where the buildings are located. I won't blush, I promise, when she says we had an amazing team on this project, and I'm very pleased that the architect, Jeff Goldstone, was able and willing to represent Shires and the Bennington Historic Project at this meeting tonight. We are truly thankful to the town's support and partnership during this project, and for working with us during the Vermont Community Development Program application and grant compliance process to make this project a success and to bring an investment of $500,000 to the project. Shires Housing is a nonprofit corporation dedicated to providing safe, quality workforce and affordable housing options for limited income residents of Bennington County. The Bennington Historic Rehabilitation Project, which we refer to as BHRP, achieved the rehabilitation of 6 historic multifamily buildings on 3 properties in the town of Bennington and merged these separate entities into a single scattered sites project. Shires Housing is both the property owner and the manager of the 26 units. The housing units that were rehabilitated now serve low and moderate income families in the Bennington area who were already residents in the existing apartments. During renovations, current tenants were temporarily relocated for an estimated duration of 4 months. During these months of construction, Shires was committed to providing relocation support and assistance to tenants in accordance with the guidelines of the Federal Uniform Relocation Act. The 6 buildings were selected for renovation from among Shires properties based on needs. Those chosen were those with the greatest amount of work needed, and to extend the useful building life and to improve operational efficiency, including energy improvements. The 6 buildings were located on 3 distinct properties in the town of Bennington, and the buildings are all historic. The addresses of the buildings were 119, 121 Pleasant Street, 233 School Street, 316 and 318 Safford Street, and 50 and 100 Kerrigan Lane. And if you're familiar with the Kerrigan Lane complex, those 4 buildings really make up a single complex on a single site, the 2 on Safford Street and the 2 in Kerrigan Lane. The historic nature of these buildings made this a challenging and rewarding project. We were able to address repairs such as interior plaster, exterior stairs, porch roofs, foundation pointing, and site work, and I'd be happy to go on if you have more questions about that. The design intent was to focus on repairs and replacement of in-kind historical or significant items such as molding, siding, and windows wherever practicable. Within the units, our intent was first to comply with codes and regulations, as well as to provide interior finishes and new bathrooms and kitchens that meet the standards and are attractive to potential tenants. Interior rehabilitation for all the units included appliances and mechanicals such as bath fans with specific renovation, there were specific renovations to meet accessibility codes, and there were 3 accessible and 1 sensory apartment that were developed. All the residents will continue or have continued to benefit from the energy efficiency upgrades. We have insulated basements and attics. We've installed new windows, done air sealing and weather stripping, replaced aged heating systems, and in one case opted for a new biomass boiler system in the Pleasant Street building, which furthers Shire's commitment to green, energy efficient construction. Shire's goals for the projects were to rehabilitate the properties so that they will be affordable in perpetuity, mitigate any potential hazards such as lead and asbestos, extend the useful life of the buildings for at least 20 years, and increase operational and energy efficiency. Through a capital needs analysis, recommendations to be implemented or that were implemented from the Vermont Fuel Efficiency Program as well as from the Weatherization Assistance Program, and investigative inspections that were done by Shire's property management and development staff, et cetera. The development consultant and the scope of the work was developed to continue, and I'm sorry, I'm reading something that was cut out of a passage from the original statement, so I'm trying to change the tenses as I go along. But in any case, we met all of these goals that I've just listed. With the addition of the VHCB funding, the scope and the energy efficiency measures in particular were increased, included insulation of all the crawl space floors with 3 inches of spray foam, which created a continuous thermal and air and moisture barrier to the buildings. We replaced doors, basement doors throughout, as well as the windows, which were previously mentioned. We installed the pellet boiler in one case, along with a, I think, 8-ton pellet storage container in a basement. We replaced fiberglass bat insulation wherever possible with dense packed cellulose insulation, and made various other energy improvements. The partners on the project were Shire's Housing, as mentioned. They were the developers and property managers. Naylor and Breen Builders from Brandon, Vermont, were the construction managers. Goldstone Architecture was the architect. MSK Engineering and Design was the civil engineering firm. David Pride of Pride Consulting was the the development consultant, and Isaac Wagner served as the clerk of the works. We used a number of local contractors, including Hayden Plumbing and Heating, Roy's Plumbing, Prue Electric, as well as the local insurance group, Richards Group. That pretty well summarizes what we were having to say. Again, thank you very much for being the town giving us the ability to get the VCDB loan to serve in that role. Other than that, I guess I should just mention that the project did close out in October of 2016, so that all the residents were back in by then, and the overall construction cost was about $2.6 million. So I'm happy to answer any questions, hopefully about the buildings and not the funding.
Folks on the board?
I know all about it.
Pretty comprehensive report, and I guess the purpose of this public hearing is to hear any public comments or otherwise, including the board. Are there any public comments that anyone would like to offer on this project? Hearing none, we'll accept the report as presented and wish you well, and same at this particular point. I hope Stephanie doesn't have too many conflicts in her life. Thanks, Jeff.
I'm happy to sit in. You're welcome.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Vermont Community Development Program.
Yeah. Good. Citizens' comment. We have Natalie Libby. Is Natalie here? Hi, Natalie. Good evening, Natalie. I hope you found the other part of the discussion interesting.
Huh?
Have you found the other parts of the agenda interesting?
Pretty much.
Good. Okay. All right. No, I don't mean to put you on a.
Okay, this is about hazmat. This is directed to Stu Hurd. I understand that we'll have one in May 12th, and I would like to know if you could have them schedule one for this fall.
Actually, the town is now part of the Bennington County Solid Waste Alliance. It's a 13-town consortium, and the state provides for 2 hazmat days, one in the South Shire, which is the one in May for Bennington, and then in the North Shire, generally up in Dorset or Sunderland in the fall. That does bring us into compliance with our solid waste implementation plan. So there would not necessarily be one for the fall this year or last year, and we don't anticipate bringing 2 events to Bennington unless we are able, as the Alliance, to create a collection facility where we could actually store the materials on site, be open at least several days a month, and collect and then properly dispose of those items in a timely manner. We have not been able to pull that off as yet. We've taken a look at a site at the transfer station, but the cost to store and remove the materials became pretty prohibitive very quickly. So at least this year, it'll only be May 12th is your opportunity. Otherwise, you'd have to find a way to get your materials up to Dorset or Manchester, wherever the second one would be.
Well, it's a bit of a pain.
It is, it is. And the one thing that we are doing this year that we haven't done in the past is the towns of Searsburg and Reedsboro, Stamford will actually have a collection opportunity within their communities so that they can participate easily rather than trucking their materials up over the mountain and into Bennington. So we're doing our best. We'd love to be able to have a facility located within a reasonable driving distance for most of the county, that where we could be open several days a month and collect materials on a regular basis. And it would be much more convenient for people, but at the present time, that is cost prohibitive.
Jane?
Is there a way to at least extend the hours? We've gone personally twice, and the line, it takes hours. And I don't, my husband does it, so I don't know exactly when he goes, but he generally just bails. So
The hours this year are 8 to 1. Last year, they were supposed to be 8 to 1. Unfortunately, the contractor didn't show up until late, which that's what created the line. The other thing that we are doing this year is we are bringing the hazmat collection gate to the lower gate at the landfill or the transfer station. So you'll be able to move in all on your own as a hazmat only. You won't have to go through the scale house.
Great.
You won't have to get involved in the trash disposal or the recycling efforts. You'll be able to come in, drop your material, turn and head back out. That's good.
That sounds great.
We're going to try to bring a number of, and I haven't talked with my staff, but I'm going to try to collect a number of volunteers to assist in the
Unloading.
traffic. Well, not the unloading. The contractors take care of that. But in the traffic control so that we can get people through faster.
Sounds great, thank you.
Just getting the word out is going to be important this year, because a lot of folks think it's going to be, if they miss now, they get the next. And that's not going to be until another year or so.
Right.
Yeah. Is that helpful? Go ahead.
Can I ask you why you're asking?
Well, for one thing, I was talking with the lady at the transfer station, and she said a number of people were asking about having one in the fall. And speaking for myself, this year I can't make the one in May. And I don't really want to store the stuff any longer than I have to. And I don't care to go to Dorset, wait in line maybe 1 or 2 or 3 hours, and have to drive back. Maybe I'm being selfish, but that's the way it is.
No, thank you.
Will the other days be marketed or advertised so that the folks that don't make the May at least have the option?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, it really does fall to the Alliance to do that, and they do a very good job. The Alliance is we contract with the Bennington County Regional Commission for our personnel assistance and all of the reporting. I would say to you, Natalie, that if you have a relatively concise amount of material, maybe you could contact me before the event, and we can find a way for you to deliver it to...
Well, could I come to your office and talk to you about this?
Sure, please do.
I don't want to do it here tonight.
No, that would be fine. So, yes, please come to the office. And I say I have an open door policy, and it usually is open, so please.
Okay, I'll find out, won't I?
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
The other thing, my neighborhood, like one of us will go, but we'll take 4 or 5 neighbors worth of stuff. It also reduces the number of cars.
I know, but I have a lot of stuff, and I'd rather be responsible for myself and dump it on somebody else.
Okay, I was just offering that as a possible
I understand, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening to me.
No, it is very good. Are there any other folks? I guess this is the only sign up. I'm going to pass that down. The next item on the agenda is the reorganization of the board. I know I jumped ahead, but I thought it would be appropriate for the folks to make their presentations before. And our policy is for the board to nominate for consideration a chair, vice chair of the select board for the coming fiscal year. And we usually do that by asking for a nomination for the vice chair position. Could I have a nomination for that?
Oh, I'd like to do that. I'd like to nominate Donald Campbell as our re-election to our as vice chair, and I'm going to keep it at that.
Do we have a second?
Second.
He reads the proclamation so well, doesn't he? Any words before you?
I would be honored to do this if it would be the board's pleasure.
Let's vote.
Okay, let's vote. I love this. Let's vote.
Let's go. Let's
all in favor of the nomination and the election of Donald Campbell as the vice chair of the Bennington Select Board for the fiscal year 2018-2019, signify by aye.
Aye.
The chair is yours.
I will, of course, abstain from that vote. Well, I would certainly like to thank you for that vote of confidence, and I would open the floor to any nominations there might be for chairman.
Our chairperson.
Chairperson. Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we nominate our current chairman. What's your name?
Chairperson.
Whatever you want to call me.
Tom Jacobs.
Oh, I'll second it.
Yeah, second.
Well seconded, all right. Any discussion? No?
Or other nominations?
Other nominations? Yeah? No? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
I will abstain and very much appreciate your words of encouragement and support, and we'll go there. Thank you very much. That is our reorganized slate for this year. We will continue with the manager's report.
Actually, liquor license renewals comes before the manager's report.
Yeah, I figure it's all part of
Can we
it.
vote again?
Sure.
You missed the vote?
Yeah, I think it's all part of it.
Anyway, I have 7 liquor license renewals to circulate. The original list was 4. It is now 7 as of today. All our renewals, there's no new licenses there. And while that's circulating, if you'll permit me, my manager's report is very short. I'm just going to announce that the water main hydrant flushing will begin April 23rd through the 27th and conclude in the week of April 30th through May 4th. So it is a 2-week period. To those of you who find after we've flushed in your area, and we generally move from east in the system to west, I say generally, if you find that your water is discolored, please run your cold water until it clears. Do not run the hot water. Cold water only until it clears. And that's all I have.
Why should they not run the hot water?
Because it will bring sediment into their hot water tank.
Is that it?
That's it.
Manager's report?
I just have a
Other business?
Well, no, not really. Well, I don't know what this is.
Go ahead.
There were a lot of violations this
Yes.
month. Is that unusual? Is it time of year? I don't remember.
No,
Okay.
I think it's a cyclical situation.
Okay.
It's when the...
And the violations, you should explain what the violations you're referring to.
It's when,
Thank you.
I'm not going to read names.
No, just
But
what-
it's when a liquor store is caught selling alcohol or cigarettes to an underage plant, I guess. They send someone in and a sale is transacted and then they're dinged with a fine or
there are other reasons.
warning.
There are other reasons, but what they do, I think they come down at certain times and just have unannounced visits to
Right.
businesses, whether or not the business proprietor or the person selling has gone through the...
Oh, yeah, it could be a
course.
lack of training. Yeah.
Could be all of those
A
things.
variety of things.
I think we probably just had a visit with...
Maybe. I've just never seen that many in
And that
one
was-
packet.
Yeah, it is unusual in all
Yeah.
the years that I've been on the board.
Thank you, Jim.
It is. You know, we
See, there's a reason for being on the board a long
rarely
time.
see one, like, once every year, but this was a lot.
That was a lot.
We have a diligent enforcement.
And as promised, I contacted all the school administrators about non-sport related accomplishments of our students, and I have a lot to say, so I'll be brief. So the first one I heard about was from Monument School. Donna Colley called and told me about a young lady, a fourth grader, her name is Emily Tibbetts, who won a competition that was statewide. It was called Growing Works of Art, and each grade was, a winner for each grade was chosen, and Emily won for the fourth grade class for the state for her work of art and a story that she wrote about a tree. And she is going to be honored on a television show and have posters printed and all this wonderful stuff. So congratulations to Emily. Let's see. Laura Boudreau from the high school notified me that Olivia Surdam and Chris Mayer spent 2 weeks representing the high school up in Montpelier, testifying about the personal learning plans that high school students are going through and what that is. It's a personal learning plan provides students the opportunity to reflect on their learning and shape their future and to understand their own unique individual way of learning and what they want to pursue. So she was very proud of those two students and their participation in that. And I heard from Mike Lawler, 39 CDC students participated in the 2018 Vermont Skills USA Leadership and Skills Conference in Burlington. They were participating in 15 different skill and leadership competitions, and they brought home 21 medalists. So we have a lot of kids doing some really great stuff out there.
That's great.
And there's probably great athletic accomplishments as well. I don't know what those are.
Nice work, Gene.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm done, again.
Cool.
But you have anything to offer beyond?
Myself?
Yeah?
He's good.
Yeah, I think I'm good this week.
Okay. What did you give you the last 2 weeks ago?
A little doggy downer.
Yeah.
Stuart, it was in your report, but it probably bears repeating the road closures
Yes.
that are kind of on and going to be on. I know they've been in the paper too, but it's probably worth just saying it, if you don't mind.
Silk Road.
Oh, the PFOA contracts have begun once again. Silk Road, the signs are out that it is closed. It is open for traffic to pass through. You can actually get through, but they are hoping to discourage a lot of the traffic that normally uses Silk Road as a shortcut, either to the hospital or to other places. They are constructing the water lines, water mains there. Work is also ongoing on Murphy Road, Vale Road. They're doing some of the connections this year where they installed mains last year. I think Silk Road is the major water main extension. They got to connect from the bridge up to Vale Road. So that project will take, I'm suspecting, probably into June before they're done. But they'll move it along pretty quickly, but still it's going to be a situation where traffic is going to be piling up on Northside Drive. If you've been on Northside Drive during the day, it's pretty crowded.
So that means paved as well?
We are working with our engineers who are overseeing the project to try to get all of these roads fully paved. The initial contract called for paving the area of disturbance and correcting drainage ways and shoulders. We're working to try to make a full width paving at the end. And RJ talked a little bit about that during the budget session and how we're hoping to accomplish that.
Since we're just sort of still on the topic of PFOA, is there anything to add to what you've shared with the community relative to the state and the ongoing negotiations?
I'm not sure there are negotiations at the present time. The state, as I reported some time ago, received a 7,000-page report from Bar Engineering, the engineers for St. Gobain, which concluded that there are other sources of PFOA contamination east of the railroad tracks, and therefore St. Gobain can't be held solely liable for those particular problems. The state refuted that document and posed a number of other questions and looked for additional evidence. And I met with John Smeltzer, who's one of the individuals who was charged with reviewing these reports and coming to a conclusion just last week. And I think it was an additional 3,000 to 4,000 page document has been submitted, which the state engineers are now pouring through.
How many pages?
3,000 to 4,000. I mean, this is a tremendous amount of data has been gathered over the course of the last 6 months on the east end of the community to support, frankly, Bar's engineering original assumption that it couldn't be St. Gobain because there had to be some impact from the landfill or other sources on the east end of town. The air model that Bar Engineering has developed for St. Gobain differs entirely from the air model the state has developed. So I think, unfortunately, this is not going to go as quickly as the first part went. So the people who are east of the railroad track are going to be using their POET systems for quite some time. And I understand that either St. Gobain or the state of Vermont is maintaining those systems, but those systems do reduce pressure in some situations. They do make it more difficult to run some of your appliances in some situations. So it is unfortunate, but St. Gobain at the present time is taking the position that they are not the only one responsible. And they're looking for the state perhaps to find other sources.
I think we owe it to our constituents, the community, make sure we just don't just let it lie. And we have a responsibility to make sure we keep the pressure on the state, to keep the pressure on Saint-Gobain, because these things sort of have their own way of getting quiet, and it's not fair to our folks that live on that side of town.
I can assure you this, the state of Vermont is still in this full bore.
Okay.
They are not attempting to make it lie, and they will probably, when they are finished with this review, they'll probably come back to the community and make another report, as they have done on a pretty regular basis. Yeah. I just think that we unfortunately may be heading for litigation.
Did the piece of legislation pass?
The legislation passed the Senate. I think it passed the House. I just saw a piece in passing today where it holds the polluters responsible. I don't think that's, here the St. Gobain is admitting that it has some responsibility. Right. It just is not admitting that it has sole responsibility.
And is there another kind of system that would help those people whose pressure is so low?
No.
There's nothing
The
else.
unfortunate part is that in order to connect these systems, they are designed on a half-inch, I think it's a half-inch diameter pipe. So if you've got a 3/4-inch pipe coming from your well into the house, they're downsizing it to a half-inch, which reduces. The system is designed to be used in many, many situations. So one size may not fit all, but in this particular case, one size has been installed in all.
Two things. One, the Bennington County Sophomore Summit was held today, and I wish that I'd understood that the water main work meant that Silk Road and Austin Hill would be closed. Got to tour the county. But the Sophomore Summit was great. There were almost 300 students from 4 high schools in the county there, and 50 to 60 professionals, including Donald, who participated, which was really wonderful. And then second, I just wanted to say, because I didn't say it earlier, I got the pleasure of going to the potluck at the senior center maybe last month, and it was wonderful. There were 60 people, wall-to-wall food people, and good cheer. And one of the conversations that came up was concerned sidewalks. And I know we have a sidewalk plan, and I'm just wondering if at some point we could just get sort of an overview of, of what that plan is.
Be glad to.
So, thank you.
Maybe put it on another one of the agendas coming up. Good.
Tom, I forgot to mention one thing. I just wanted,
I knew
no,
that.
it's a good thing.
Okay.
Today, there was a fire on Valentine Street, and I want to thank our fire department and police department for making very short work of it with no injuries. So thank you.
One of the things that I'd like to see really discussed is, since I've been on the board, we've had talks about this, the bikeways and pathways. I would like to focus on that, is making that a priority to get some of these basically completed or have a timeline, because I think there's been, if not slippage, I think we need to bring some of these things to conclusion, because I'd like to leave the board, when and if I do, that we have a pathway, at least the one that we've seen in place in work for quite a few years, and I think Dan can probably give us a real good update of where we're at at a full agenda, so we can see some slides and where we're at. Okay.
We will do that.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, great. Okay, other business?
No.
Having heard there is no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
6 in favor of adjourning, we're adjourned. We stand adjourned till 2 weeks hence.